Israel has in the past restricted the flow of aid distribution in Gaza. The Israeli Prime Minister continuing to deny the reality of starvation on the ground. They could have taken those steps, for example, before the 77 people inside of Gaza who have died of malnutrition in just the last month.
I want to hop into some more critical CNN reporting on Gaza as starvation continues to increase, including now many deaths in short periods of time from starvation. I think it was 14 in a 24-hour span, showing the dire circumstances on the ground. If you can, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out a ton. It gives us a boost in the algorithm, and we'll be right back with the context needed.
The Israeli Prime Minister continuing to deny the reality of starvation on the ground in Gaza, even as his government has now taken steps to implement effectively ceasefires for 10 hours a day in certain parts of the Gaza Strip to help facilitate the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. We have seen those tactical pauses now go into effect for the last 2 days. Yesterday, we know that about 120 trucks from the United Nations were able to make their way into the Gaza Strip. And so we are starting to see efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But even as that is happening, the Israeli Prime Minister is still denying reality.
Netanyahu essentially doesn't want to admit something that will leave him unable to finish his genocidal goals. He'd rather cover it up, where he needs Western support because he's lost all other international support largely. So once this flips, the jig is up. It's over with. Sadly for Palestinians, Trump is bought and paid for on this issue and seemingly ready to let Netanyahu do whatever, even offer U.S. troops to help him do it. And Trump, meanwhile, that he sees people starving in Palestinians and pretends he cares about it, he's burning 500 tons of food because who cares, right? Again, all while Palestinian children are starving, wishing for a fraction of that. You see that this with MAGA and Trump as well, like what Netanyahu is doing, that the hope is that as more evidence clearly starts piling up, as more proof becomes public and in front of everyone's eyes, all the while Netanyahu continues to deny reality, that it starts waking people up to the fact that he's not to be trusted the same way with Trump.
The United Nations makes clear that much more aid than just 100 trucks a day is going to need to get into the Gaza Strip in order to even begin to alleviate what is happening in Gaza. But those new Israeli policies to facilitate the distribution of aid in Gaza are perhaps the best evidence yet, Jim, that Israel has in the past restricted the flow of aid distribution in Gaza. And of course, they could have taken these steps, which the United Nations and other aid organizations have urged them to take for much longer now. They could have taken those steps, for example, before the 77 people inside of Gaza who have died of malnutrition in just the last month.
And it's not like this came out of nowhere, like, oh, who could have saw this coming? Oxfam has long been reporting this kind of stuff. They said not enough trucks were getting in. They said Palestinians were surviving on less than 12% of the daily caloric recommendations, all while Israel continued turning trucks away, publicly stated that they wanted to keep food and water away from civilians. I mean, this was systematic. That is what can't be understated, and it shouldn't surprise anyone. And it's not something we should let Netanyahu get away with. You have almost 1,000 killed near food aid trucks in the last 2 months, almost 100 dead in the last month from malnutrition, 14 dead from hunger in just the last 24 hours. It's clear that intervention is needed at this point, and it's sad because Trump and MAGA aren't going to be the ones to do it. And they're the ones in power.
Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites, which are backed by, established by a private American organization, now backed by money from the U.S. State Department, but have also been where the majority of the violence that has taken place as people have tried to make their way to those aid distribution sites and Israeli forces have opened fire. Now, in terms of the impact of these latest Israeli policies, these tactical pauses and all of that, it will really be judged by how long those policies actually remain in effect.
I'm of the belief that Netanyahu will continue pushing whatever boundaries he's allowed to do to see how far he can get them. Kind of like we're seeing Trump with our domestic law. See how close to starvation he can get this population. See how long he can withhold needed aid. See how many innocent women and children he can kill. All while he realizes that, oh, if I overstep, all I have to do is pull back for the moment. Okay, let's allow aid in for a week or two. Let's let a couple trucks in. Let's do like a temporary ceasefire, get our hostages, and then we're going to break the ceasefire anyway daily. But then, let's get right back to the killing after. And then when it blows over, nobody cares anymore. Like, these are devastating reports to hear. And I just hope by keeping Palestine in the media cycle, keeping the genocide in the news cycle, that it makes strides towards a truly free Palestine one way or the other.